I'm Daphne Javitch from Doing Well, and I'm back today to talk a little bit about mindfulness. So what we want to practice when we practice mindfulness is moving away from being reactive and moving into a place where we're more responsive. And the reason why that's a practice of mindfulness is it requires us to kind of ground into ourselves in the present moment versus just moving through like everything is happening to us and reacting reflexively or as we may have 100 times in the past, and actually slowing down, checking in, and responding from a place of awareness, right? So typically I work with people on mindful eating, which can be anything from moving away from compulsive or emotional or reflexive eating or stress eating, or even as so many of us in so many areas of our life do, we just kind of move through our day and we'll eat without thinking, or we'll, communicate with a partner without really putting mindfulness towards it, or even a coworker or our children or our parents. And the beauty of learning and practicing mindfulness is that we can't contain it to one area of our life. So we can't contain it to the area that we begin the practice, right? So for example, if we begin with mindful eating, being aware of our relationship in the present moment with what's on our plate or what we're grabbing for, etc., we can't contain it to that. So that will ultimately seep in, that mindfulness will seep into our relationships, our professional life, our family life, our friendships, and it's building a relationship with ourselves. What are some ways that we can practice mindfulness? So I like to think of it as creating space, right? So if we're able to put a little bit of space between our reaction and our action, that's actually mindfulness. So for example, if we're able to slow things down a little bit, and I'm going to use a mindful eating example. Let's say we're just rushing, and we just want to grab for that bag of chips, which by the way, I love potato chips. And there's a time and a place for everything. But let's just say we're rushing, and we're grabbing, and it's not because we're enjoying like a Pellegrino with a lot of lime or like a tequila soda by the sunset with our potato chips. It's just because we need to eat something and get through this day, and we just grab. Well, if we can take a breath, slow it down, and give it a moment, we may or may not be able to make a more deliberate, intentional, aware, and mindful choice. And I just want to emphasize that what we ultimately decide to do is really not the important part of mindfulness, right? So it's not about, I need to be mindful so I don't eat potato chips. No, it's the idea of slowing down, connecting to the present moment, being in our body, mind, and spirit, and making more deliberate and intentional choices, right? It's great if you deliberately eat potato chips or deliberately choose not to, but ultimately what we're looking for with most things that are related to optimal health is being able to move through this world in a more productive and connective way, right, with ourselves and others. And so mindfulness is a really wonderful tool for that, right? And we can practice this in our personal relationships, which I do all the time. And I'm gonna have my response to my husband, and then I kind of take a deep breath, and I know what the more effective and higher self response is. So that's mindfulness. And then I always make the immature reflexive one, but I'm working on it. Some people might be asking, well, I don't even know if I am aware of the present moment. Like, what does she even mean by that, right? Let's get even more clear on that. So this one I use for my fear of flying. It's called Here and Now. So, and you can use this, you don't have to be on a plane to use this one. But basically I get anxious, I get reactive, and I start to go into a very sinister, dark imagination that's probably from watching too much TV. And then what I do is I just look in front of me and I kind of in list form name what I'm seeing right in front of me. I see a seat back, I see a tray table, I see a magazine, I see my handbag, I see, you know, they still have ashtrays in there. So, you know, you just start to list what you're looking at. You can do it right now as soon as this video is over, or you can even stop the video and do it. And basically, by connecting to all the things that are right in front of us, we're not in the past and we're not future tripping. We're just in the moment, kind of listing all the things. And that's a really great place to get us into the present moment. And then from there, start to practice shaping our responses from a place of awareness. There's so much to say about mindfulness. This was just the tip of the iceberg. So nice to see you, and I will see you again soon.